people comment. I think it's been unbelievable, the response to this. It's exciting that we're all involved in this, and looking forward to meeting number 5, where we kind of put all this together. So without further ado, I'll get started and read the statement, which is always exciting. So bear with me while I do that, and then we'll go directly to roll call. Okay. All right. The Tennessee Department of Education is excited to work with you on this opportunity to discuss the state's formula for funding public education. Before we begin, the department would like to remind you of the following. Conversations on this topic are not intended to reflect on the current BEP funding formula. The current BEP funding formula will remain in place until a new funding formula is recommended to and approved by the Tennessee General Assembly. The public is encouraged to submit comments in writing to ensure that all communications are thoroughly documented and can be reviewed and considered in the future. Public comment is encouraged to focus on developing a new funding formula rather than revising the current funding formula. Consider what should be funded in a new funding formula and at what level. Subcommittees will be responsible for reviewing public comment and making recommendations for what should be included in a new funding formula. While all committees, subcommittees, and members of the public should feel free to communicate openly, documents and records may be subject to public inspection pursuant to the Tennessee Public Records Act and may be publicly posted or otherwise made available. All recommendations that are submitted by committees and subcommittees will be reviewed and considered, but not all recommendations will ultimately be included in the proposed new funding formula. I'm getting good at that. Give me a couple more meetings, I'll have it memorized. Let's start off with the roll call, and then that we'll have officially who's here. So Megan Burley Fogarty. Nope.
Okay. It's Claudia. So Megan is has a whole bunch of family stuff related to the pandemic, so she's not in with us today, but I'm representing Claudia Caballero.
Okay. Thank you, Claudia. And okay, I appreciate that. So Claudia Caballero, obviously you're here. Tara Lentz.
Present.
Megan Vigil. Okay, Megan's not with us yet. Mauricio Calvo. Mauricio, are you here? Is that you without the picture? Maybe turn on the mic. I'm not sure if that's you or not.
I think that's Dr. Barker.
Okay.
Mauricio was on a second ago. I don't know. He was here a minute ago. I'll text him.
I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thought maybe you're doing a FedEx delivery or something. I don't know. So.
My thing went off. Sorry about that.
It's all right. Dr. Laura Clark. Is that the 09 number?
She's here. Dr. Clark's here.
Okay. Rebecca Peterson. Okay. I don't see her unless you see her, Penny.
No.
Okay.
I can't.
Luis Parodi.
Here.
Okay. Dr. Jean Barker.
I'm here.
Good. Senator Gardenhire. Legislators might be in and out because they're in session. So, and Representative Love. And Mike Edwards.
I want to make sure. Can everyone see my PowerPoint? Okay.
I'm calling in, and so I don't have the video.
Okay.
I can pull it up on my email, however, if it's one there that you're referencing.
It is in your Google folder, week 5.
Right.
And Dr. Clark, we couldn't hear you.
Okay, also on your emails are probably the most important stuff, not saying that everything else isn't, is what we'll be going over. So the different levels and all that. So you might want to look at that in your, if you're not in front of a computer. So, well, again, thank you all for coming. I appreciate this. We're at probably the last lap and a half to go. So really happy everything you've all done and really appreciative of all the time you've all taken. So thank you. I trust you all have gone over all the documents and attachments that have been emailed to you. If you haven't, please look at it, but hopefully you've already done all that. So you can go down the agenda to the January preview, Penny. Okay, that's what we got left, basically, the next two meetings, okay? This meeting, today, we will be turning in our final recommendations. Again, the priority for today is to finalize must have, should have, nice to have, and long shots. So today, that's what we're going to do. And then on meeting 6, we will discuss policy and finalize that. Okay? All right. Prioritization. We've sent you all about a week and a half ago a list of all the must-haves and all the recommendations you all submitted, and we did a poll based on that and took average of the outcomes. Michelle, why don't you describe how we came up with this, and if we can show that again. What we're doing today is must-have, should-have, and nice-to-have, and long shots by category. So, Michelle.
Right, sure. So Penny's pulling up the spreadsheet in the state that it's in this as of today. I emailed this out to you guys, but it has gone through a couple of iterations. So it might be helpful for me to describe how we got to this place. Basically, we got responses or rankings of those 19 must-haves from 5 committee members. I did go ahead and anonymize them because I wasn't sure if everyone wanted to share their information. So that's why it's respondent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you need some help, just want to be sure that your responses were recorded accurately. I can help you identify which one is yours. We did have to resort them. So they're no longer listed alphabetically, those 19 priorities. But basically, we took the average of all the rankings for each of the 19 must-haves and just did a straight average for those ranking assignments that you submitted. And then we went ahead and because the TN-EDU wants us to go ahead and assign these into the funding buckets, we sort of took a first stab at putting them where we think they belong. If you still have those slides that I sent out earlier today that define base, weight, additional dollars, and outcomes, that's sort of what we use to go ahead and make this initial assignment of the funding bucket. So we put those in the buckets and then sorted it by bucket. As we understand it, that's what the commissioner is asking us to do here. So we've put each of these 19 must-haves into a funding bucket and then sorted them by the rank that you all assigned based on those tallies. So that's what Penny is presenting here. I think what Chairman Lopez wants us to discuss now is, are these funding bucket assignments correct? And do we still agree that these are all must-haves for each of these buckets? Or do we want to make any changes? So, Raul, is that?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Michelle. And thank you for the 5 that responded on that. It was very helpful and needed. So thank you. So again, we averaged all this out and put it in a different thing. So I think the best thing to do is just start from the top and go down. Michelle,
Raul, may I comment before we start that?
Sure.
I took this spreadsheet and I sorted it again. And here's what I did. I sorted it first by the ranking to see, according to the committee, what did we feel, feel was the most important. So I sorted it so lower ranking at the top down to higher ranking. I did that first, and then I did a second sort on the funding bucket. And so, and I have that spreadsheet I was going to share with you, and I can't find it, of course. But the point is, I thought it was important that we look at what the committee feels are the priorities in conjunction with how they fit into the funding buckets. And that's the reason I did that second sort.
Yeah, if you look at this sheet, that's exactly what we did.
But I resorted what you did because the spreadsheet that I generated, which I wish I could share with you, has the lowest number at the top, which I believe is 5.4. I think it's or 4.6 is the lowest. And then on the average ranking, it goes from small to large so that we know what we thought as a group of 5 were the highest priorities with the lowest number. And then I looked to see how they were fit into those buckets. So, I mean, you know, certainly worth discussing how we fit them into the buckets, but I thought it was important that we see on this sheet the priority that we considered these items to be. And that's why I resorted the average ranking column.
Okay. And I appreciate that. There's a couple ways of doing this. So hold on one second, please. There's a couple ways of doing this. So we could hand in both yours and ours, but I think that if it's okay with you, in other words, look at all the base ones. If we could all agree, and again, we only had 5 people respond, so this is based on 5 people. We can all agree on which is the highest priority per bucket. And then to satisfy what you said, which is important, we can send them another list based on highest priority overall in order. Would that help?
Okay, so would you clarify something for me so that I be sure I understand this? Are the funding buckets prioritized in the order of base is most important and then weight is next? Or is that prioritized like that?
No. What's most important within base? What's most important within weight?
Okay, got it. That's good. I'm glad to know that.
Okay. You have a question, sir?
Yeah, I was going to ask Laura, what, off of memory of yourself, what are the first 1 or 2 rankings that you would have had as opposed to what we see here on this? If I understand this correctly, before you answer it, the letter G, the initial assessment, is the one that Raul is saying the group of 5 said the most important. And then A, initiate pathways to higher education, regardless, is the second one. How does, Laurel, off of memory, how does yours stack up to those 1, 2, 3, or 4, if you can remember? And you can follow back up later if you can find your spreadsheet.
I have it right here. The most important one, according to this list, this ranking of these 5 people, was targeted funding to support more EL coaches. And then the next 2 under that were districts would receive additional funding for the certain number of English learners, and economic status, EL status, special needs should be calculated separately. And so each of those items actually are easily translated into funding changes. But you know, there's each categorize them as a funding item.
Yeah, and again, if you can look on the spreadsheet that's in front of you, 4.60, which is the one she said, is still the highest ranking. And the additional ones are still, what we did was we took the liberty of putting them in the funding bucket.
I see that now. Thank you.
Sure. Now, if you all want to change that, we can, but just we organize that, I think, and it's open for that. But Michelle, do you want to further explain? Is there anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that the way the instructions that were given to the committee, they were quite complicated. And I know we've had to try to rank and sort on a couple of different bases. So we started with this list of must-haves, and that's what we ranked first. But then we also had to put them into the buckets. And so I hope that doesn't cause confusion there, but we are trying to maintain I guess, sanctity of those rankings, but also put them within those buckets. So that's what we went ahead, just in the interest of time. So for example, there were some items there that seemed to be pretty straightforward weights. So we went ahead and put them in that weight category, but kept what our overall ranking was. So all of those rankings are being communicated and maintained. It's just that once we put them into the buckets, it's sort of presented a little bit differently. Hope that helps explain everything. But so do you guys want to go ahead and look at the base items? That would be the first 5 of those must-haves. Does anyone feel like these should not be in the base bucket, that they should be in a different bucket? I think that's what we're trying to knock out first is, do these have the correct bucket assignments? And if not, let's change them around and resort according to the bucket.
I'm looking at number 11, the bilingual EL teachers based on population. I had asked Penny and she sent me a spreadsheet on the number. Actually, it didn't give me what I asked for, but there was a miscommunication. She sent me a list on a percentage of school districts that had English learners in their system. Some were as high as 26 and 30%, but I didn't have the comparable number of kids to extrapolate to see what the actual number was. But I think having that number 11, the bilingual teachers based on population would really be important for these kids to learn what they need to learn in school if they don't have the bilingual teachers. But that also coincides with number 5 or A, initiate pathways for higher education. Those two kind of go side by side because the end result is we want to make sure we get bilingual teachers in the classroom where that population is. Is there any way to move up that number 11 up a little higher?
Well, so Senator Gardenhire, if you look, I don't know if you happen to have these slides. Can you see this? I don't know if you can see this. I'm trying to show this.
Unfortunately, I'm on my cell phone, and at my age, it's hard to see what I'm seeing anyway.
Sure thing. I understand.
Michelle, may I respond to that, Michelle?
Sure.
Senator, I think this is achieving what you are interested in because the bilingual EL teachers are placed in the category of weights. Now, although it is 11.6 and it's not a 5 like the other 2 items are, but you're saying you would like to put more importance on the bilingual EL teachers in the weight bucket. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, if that's possible. I don't want
Okay, I'll tell you what.
Something else that everybody's more excited about.
Did you happen to participate in the survey?
I did not. I've been dealing with COVID with my family.
Yeah.
And I've been overwhelmed with it. I've got 4 people in my family that's got COVID, so I've just had to put things on hold.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I went through COVID too. Anyway, yeah, that's a challenge. If all we got to work with is people that participated. So,
well, I'm participating right now. Okay.
Okay, then I'll tell you what.
That's good. That is why we're on this call, to all participate, not box anybody out. Is
Exactly.
that right or wrong?
No, exactly.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. again,
Well, I guess the point to make might also be, Senator Gardenhire, that we got 5 responses, and the 3 items that are listed under weight, the top 2 were significantly more highly ranked than the third item, letter P, the bilingual EL teachers. So I guess the question for the committee would be, if we add one more response here and we just did sort of a live tally of that, where, what weighting would be given to a single committee member's vote, I guess is the question.
well, here's what I'm thinking. Let's go, because that's a weighted issue. Let's get past the base one first, okay? So let's go over the base, and if you all want to change the ranking within the base, we'll do that now, okay? If you all want to change the ranking within the weight, we'll do that there. And then same thing with additional dollars and outcomes. And if you all think it should be changed from that bucket, while we're doing that bucket, we can change it. How's that?
Okay.
Does that sound good? All right. So the first one, the
That
highest
was
rank.
very confusing, but I'm just gonna let you pass.
Thank you. I'm working through this just jigsaw puzzle also, or I should say Rubik's Cube. Okay, so the highest rank base is right now is the first initial assessment, including learning disabilities and special needs training for assessors, could be teachers, including most appropriate instruments for testing. Does everyone agree that that's a base?
I might put the student teacher ratio above that. But it is, yes, that is a base.
Okay, let's first clarify that, and then we'll go to the thing, because we're doing 2 things at one time, so it's a challenge. So, okay, another base is initiate pathways to higher education for bilingual students to eventually become trained teachers, regardless of their citizenship status. Does everyone think that's a base?
I agree.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, maximum ratio student teacher at school level. Is that a base?
Yes.
Is that, let me ask a question on that. That's a good point. Is that maximum ratio of student teacher, is that just for bilingual or is that for everybody?
Bilingual. Everything we're covering is bilingual or ESO.
Okay.
Then we need to add maximum ratio EL student
Okay.
to
We'll
teacher.
make it up. Thank you for that. All right. Wraparound support for EL, including social workers and school counselors. Does everyone agree that's a base?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then-
Yes,
I'm sorry? Okay.
yes.
And okay, and the last one is decrease the current ratio of counselors / social workers to students.
To EL.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I guess the next step is to make sure they're in proper rankings.
Wait, I have a question. One of those, I think it might go in another category. The maximum rate, the maximum ratio of student teacher at school level. As I understand this slide where it defines base, this one right here, it says the content currently being discussed in subcommittee, i.e. the supports and services you believe are critical to include in a state formula, the supports and services. And I think ratios would not fall in the category of supports and services. But I think the other items would.
Okay.
Do you interpret that differently? I may be thinking of it wrong.
I look at it more base, but I could be wrong also. So what is the group?
I'm thinking that the reference to ratios might better fit in the weight category.
Anybody I mean, any other comments?
The rate,
I have a,
the ratios, if it's figured at the school level, would be a weight
Okay,
because
So
it
do
would
you all-
be different. for
do you
each-
all want that in the weight category? We can do that pretty quickly. Any yay or nays?
Yes.
That's fine.
Yay.
Okay, all
Yes.
right. So we'll, Penny, you'll be making a note of that, right? Or somebody.
And Dr. Barker, I want to ask your opinion because it seems like the initial assessment item, do you think that should go in additional dollars or stay in the base bucket?
Well, I think that is something that should come through the State Department in an ELL comprehensive plan bucket. So if that's going to be part of something that's a comprehensive expectation across the state, it should be in the base. If not,
Okay,
then
got
it could be additional dollars.
yes, okay,
Does that make
All
sense?
yes. Otherwise, look, that leaves 4 items in the base, which look pretty good to me.
Okay, does everybody agree with the average ranking?
Um,
That's fine.
Yes. Yes.
And again, I'm assuming that you all think all these are must-haves, correct? Okay. And even as we rank them, you all, I mean, as long as they're in the must-have bucket, you know, we're still recommending as a must-have. We're just trying to organize a way of prioritizing it. Okay?
Wait, I'm sorry. Oh, I see one more thing that needs to be moved. There's another ratio item in the base currently. You see that last one? The current ratio of counselors and social workers? I
Okay.
believe that would be moved to the base, to the weight bucket.
So basically what you're saying, anything that's ratio should be weight.
That's what it seems to me, because it affects the proportion of funding. The weight of the funding is dependent on those ratios. That's my rationale on it. But I defer to Dr. Barker on that one.
As long as we're saying that that is a must-have, I think that is that's a good rationale, because the ratios should be different and weighted differently based on what those ratios are. So that makes sense to me.
so
We're still
Dr.
saying
Clark,
it's very important.
Dr. Clark and Dr. Barker, on that base slide, and I think this is part of the thought, I'd like to know your thoughts, where those 2 items, I noticed for the nurses and for the counselors and school psychologists, it does mention that ratio in the base. So I think I'm
Yeah.
confused on the guidance from the state.
Uh,
And I think that was why we were putting it in the base category. But we will defer to you guys, of course, on what you recommend. But I'm a little confused on that guidance from the state.
I see what you're talking
So-
about, Michelle, because it's a direct reference to it right there on the slide. I see that. Yeah.
However, I see that as being very different. Nurses are comprehensive across the state. When we're talking about ELL, we're talking about a subgroup. With nurses, we're not talking about subgroups. We're talking about a comprehensive service for all students. And the same thing with counselors and school psychologists. So I think that should stay in the base. And the ratio just means what is an acceptable ratio comprehensively across the state. I see it very differently when we talk about our ELL subgroup, where you may have some districts that have a weighted ratio. Does that make sense?
I agree.
So I think it's okay for it to be in the base for nurses and counselors.
Can you define for me what a comprehensive is on this?
Yes.
Just what does that
Where,
entail?
for instance, yes, let's take nurses, for instance. There may be, across the state of Tennessee, you may want to have a comprehensive nurse to student ratio, let's say 1 to 750. That would be the same regardless. I mean, nurses are not a subgroup. ELL students are a subgroup where you may have more in one district than in another district. But nurses to students, that's going to be the same across the state. So that's what I mean as it is something that is statewide versus district weighted.
So, and I'm just trying to understand. So when you use the term comprehensive, you're really saying every district gets basically the same amount, not based on
Yes.
student ratio, but if, am I understanding? I just want to make sure I understand when you use the word
Well,
comprehensive. I want to know.
Maybe I should say
she's
state.
I think she's referring to, the comprehensive is referring to the fact that we're counting all students and not just counting the English learners.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm getting confused because she's using the same word as she's trying to define in her definition,
Mhm.
and I was struggling to understand that. So thank you for clearing it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we've got the base, and I mean the first 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's hit the next 4.
Are we giving you a headache, Raul?
No.
Get you some aspirin or something.
There you go. It's just I lack vision. So anyway, all right. Let's go. You're cracking me up though. That's good. Let's go to the next one, which is the weight section. And let's see, where were we? Districts. Okay, districts would receive additional funding for certain number of EL. Does everybody agree that's a weight?
Yes.
Yes.
SEC, EL, and special needs should
Yes.
be.
We're not in football.
There you go.
Sorry.
Did I say SEC? Oh my gosh. Okay.
SEC or Securities Exchange Council. I don't know what
Yeah.
you're thinking about.
There you go. Okay. SES. I told you my vision's got funky things. EL and special needs should be calculated separately, factored in through effect. Does everybody agree that's related? Okay.
Yes.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
I think we got a spreadsheet problem real quick. Hey, Penny, can you hit undo a couple of times?
I will try if I can find it.
Do Control Z. There you go. And one more time.
Got it now?
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was weighty. Okay.
We may have to we may have to try again to resort them in a second when we finish.
Okay. And the other one, bilingual EL teachers based on population, according to the proper ratio for students / teacher 1 to 30. Does everybody agree that's a weighted?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Does everybody agree on the order that those three are categorized?
Well, aren't we pulling more items into that category?
Okay.
I'm
Good
sorry,
point.
one more item, and it's the item about the maximum ratio of EL
Correct.
as a teacher.
So that one will go in between, not the SEC, but the SES and
Yes.
the bilingual EL teachers, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Based on that, does everybody agree with that order?
May I make one suggestion? We have a state law that we passed last year that actually defined what a teacher is. And it was a classroom teacher, not somebody that had a teaching certificate.
Okay.
So we might want to put classroom teacher instead of just teacher.
Okay. Does everybody agree with that?
Oh, yeah, that's going to shake it up. Because as I understand it now, we are, and that would be a good shake up.
Should we add in there based on state law or just leave it?
Yeah, do you want to reference it as a all right, classroom teacher? But keep in mind, the EL teachers are not classified as classroom teachers. And so, however, we can talk about, well, you know, there's certified teachers, classroom teachers, and then there are auxiliary teachers, which would be EL or library or physical education or art, music, and which are all certified.
So which teachers do you all want in this category?
I would
Need
like
to-
the ratio of EL teachers to EL students. That's the ratio I would like to see improved. But I'm
Well,
open to
yeah,
discussion.
I'm just saying we needed to not just use the term teacher,
Right,
but define which one it is.
which is great. Thank you for
And-
that. So does everybody want EL teachers?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, that'd be fine.
thank you for that clarification, Senator. So does everybody so far believe, like the order of the weighted one? Again, that 12.81 is going to go below the 11.5 once it's all done. So,
Yeah,
everybody
I'm
okay
fine.
with that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, now for the big one. More money. All right. Okay, targeted funding to support more EL coaches at the school level. Everybody agree that's additional bucks? Okay. Offer administrator cultural awareness training for EL student performance. Everybody okay with that one?
What's cultural awareness?
There's a
So
term
what-
called cultural competence that there's training going on. In fact, we have them on video if you want to watch. But it's cultural competence for the educators that work with these children coming from other countries and with different customs and languages. So it's a cultural awareness. Cultural competence is actually the term.
Okay.
And the reason there's a discussion of administrators having that training is often the teachers who are working with the children have a little better understanding of the cultural issues of language and traditions, whereas the administrators may not have that understanding, and they're the ones making the administrative and funding decisions and staffing decisions. So there seems to be a general consensus in the teachers I've talked to that would like our principal to understand this better. That's why there's a reference to it.
Laura, this is Claudia Caballero, and I just want to echo Senator how important this is. I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we work often with the school system. And one of the things that we see a lot is, school teachers classroom teachers are in the room every day, hearing the stories, understanding what's happening with families, understanding legalities. And oftentimes administration doesn't have that. And so it's just really vital to increase funding in this position so that we can help the administration become better advocates for these students. So just really important for schools and for the organizations that work in this area. Thank you.
And through leadership, an administrator can affect the culture of the whole school, and including the situation for the English learners.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure we have an understanding of what it is.
Thank you. But do we want to keep it cultural awareness or that other term that you use, Doctor?
Cultural competence is the term that, again, that's a generally understood term for understanding cultures. And yeah, I think competence would be a better word for it.
So add that word or take away awareness?
Substitute awareness, put in competence.
Okay.
Delete awareness and add competence.
All right, thank you. All right, the next one is funding for communication technology that will eliminate language barriers, including communications between the school and parents.
Yes.
Does everybody think that's additional dollars?
Yes.
That would be good. I saw a pastor in Chattanooga, and he could not communicate with me, but he pulled out his cell phone and typed in what he wanted to say, and it came out in English. And I've tried to type in what I want to say, and it came out in Spanish. So I think that's vitally important.
Yes.
So I
I agree.
even takes Southern slang, huh?
I'm sorry, this is Claudia. Is there another place where we're asking for increased funding for bilingual personnel in the school systems, or is it just technology? Because communication technology really isn't ideal for a lot of the families, especially in places like Chattanooga and Knoxville, where we have a lot of indigenous languages that aren't written. Having funding to bring in, even if it's part-time bilingual, trilingual people, would really be impactful.
Claudia, there is an item in the weight bucket that says bilingual EL teachers based on population, which I read that to be, if we've got lots of Guatemalan indigenous languages, we want to find a community person who speaks the indigenous languages. So I think there is an item that refers to that in this list.
And it would be weighted.
I would probably say multilingual instead of bilingual, because we don't know what, I guess it's fine, but we don't know what language.
Good point. I agree. Multilingual. Yes.
Okay, but we keep that in the weighted, not the additional, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good point there, though. Okay. Where am I? Specific strategies for EL family engagement.
Yes.
Okay. Additional pay to teachers offering wraparound services.
I'm not crystal clear as to what the phrase teacher pay to teachers offering wraparound services. Could someone clarify that for me?
Does somebody remember who brought that one up?
I believe when we were developing the list of must-haves, we were trying to address sort of a differential pay based on the teachers having these additional skills. I'm not sure if that's what's communicated here, but I think that's what our intent was.
For example, if a teacher not only had her full group of ELs that she was responsible for, she also served on 2 or 3 times a week as an interpreter.
Right. So in other words, there being some incentive for taking on these additional responsibilities.
I see.
Okay, so should we put in there additional pay to teachers that have certain skills or something, or unrelated?
How about offering wraparound services beyond their teaching duties?
Yeah, I like that. Everybody like that? Good.
Yeah,
All right.
good.
All right. After-school programs or summer camps that receive funding should be aligned with after-school bilingual tutoring with content aligned to school assessments. Everybody agree that's addition?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Establish paraprofessional training and professional development. Okay. Access to post-secondary teacher training.
Is that saying something similar to the one in the base bucket that says initiate pathways to higher education? What is that different? Is that saying something different?
Where's that at again? What number is that?
I'm asking, is D, access to post-secondary, similar to A, initiate pathways?
I think it is, but you all wanted to add in regardless of citizenship access. So I don't know if it's overkill.
Yes. Oh, well, then when we add that phrase to it, absolutely.
So should we take it? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Should we take this one out then because that's covered by that?
No, we should.
They're separate.
Okay.
Let's see.
All right. I think that's what different, made it different.
Dr. Barker, what do you think about that?
I'm going back and reviewing that because in the base one, it does say initiate pathways.
Yes.
Regardless of their
Yes,
citizenship
it does.
status.
Yes, it does.
It does say that.
Uh-huh.
So it may be covered there. I don't know that it's necessary there. I think we're saying the same thing.
I think so too. It appears to me.
I agree.
So eliminate one, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so then,
So delete item D.
okay,
Yes.
but do we move G to additional dollars or keep it where it is?
I think we keep it where it is.
Okay, I defer.
All right. Anybody else? Any questions, comments? Okay, so
Well,
we,
wait, I'm rethinking that. I'm sorry, because that
That's
is
all right.
in the base. I think,
Because that is
honestly,
a
I
lot of
think that
money
goes
that
in
would
additional
require.
dollars.
Yeah, uh-huh,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, I think that would have to be additional dollars.
yes,
okay, so move G down to additional dollars
yes.
and eliminate
A. I believe it's A.
A. I'm sorry, you're right. Okay,
Oh, wait a minute. Okay.
we good?
Oh, well, I was looking at G, but,
Okay, well, we can take a second there.
okay.
Are you good with A or do you want G?
We have A as a must-have, don't we?
All
Yes.
these must-haves.
All of
Based,
them are. Mhm.
they're must-haves, but what we've done is prioritize them. So in their eyes, it might be a should-have. Get what I'm saying? Based on the priority. But as a group, we're saying all these are must-haves. Correct? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Reach out more to nonprofits and churches to get involved. Is that additional?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
What
we're good on
exactly are we asking churches to get involved in?
tutoring, mentoring, you name it.
I guess my only thought with that is if nonprofits' mission is education, it makes sense. In terms of churches doing mentoring, more of a community outreach. I don't like the idea of involving, I guess I've had not great experiences where churches don't have the training necessary to support the students, and it ends up being detrimental to the process. I don't know if anyone else, I see Laura nodding her head, but I just feel like they don't have the training or many times the cultural competency to do that, and not their line of work.
You know, I think the idea that we're reaching out to community partners to get involved is absolutely important.
Yeah.
And maybe we just need to reword it in terms of reaching out to more community partners to get involved and be trained.
I'm
Okay.
with
that.
Okay, but
Claudia, does that address
you
it?
guys are not eliminating churches as community partners, correct?
No, that doesn't eliminate anybody. As long
Okay.
as it's
I just
training
want to be
along
clear.
with it. Yes. Because we're saying
All right.
community partners.
Okay. Because that's a huge community. Okay, so just change that wording, please.
You know, if Our Lady of Guadalupe on Nolensville Road was eliminated, it would be a big
Oh, exactly. And they also are the parents of these kids. So
Sure.
Okay. All right. So based on that, are the rankings okay with you all on additional dollars?
Dr. Barker, I just want to go back one question and clarify with you. Dr. Barker, I want like your opinion.
Okay.
Item G, is that the initial assessment training for assessors?
Mm-hmm.
So is that an additional dollars item or is that a base item? Because it also references appropriate instruments, which we know cost money.
That's true. I'm trying to figure out how that would be in a base. I mean, it is indeed additional dollars, but we want to make sure that it occurs.
Yes.
Across all districts. So I guess that's practically it's additional dollars. And we're saying it's a must-have. So I would be all right moving that down to additional dollars.
So if you move something down to additional dollars, that still makes it a must-have, or you're taking it out of the must-have and just add more dollars?
It's still
I'm
a
saying
must-have.
it's a must-have. Yeah.
Everything's still a must-have, but prioritized.
Yeah.
Right.
I've been confused too, Senator, looking at that word base, believing that, oh, well, here are the number ones right here in the base. But now after Raul explained it to me, I understand. No, the buckets have kind of an equal weight, equal importance. Raul, am I right in that?
That's the way I interpret it.
Okay. And so when we move from one bucket to another, it doesn't decrease the priority, is how I understand it.
That's correct. And we can write the verbiage stating that we ranked them by priority, and the priority does not change, but yet we prioritize them within the bucket. Okay.
Okay.
I mean,
Good explanation.
you all still think that what is it? Targeting funding to support more EL coaches on the school level as the highest priority or must have.
I have heard that repeatedly from teachers.
Okay.
Because those EL coaches are that interim group between the principal and the administration and the classroom teacher and the ELs. It's that extra person in there who is there for all EL teachers.
Correct. So that's why you all have decided that's the highest priority. And the lowest priority is to reach out to the community. So that's what we've got lowest priority based on must-haves.
And would you read the wording, please, for that item J for community partners? Would you read the wording that we've revised?
I would, Penny, I didn't write it down. For somebody.
Yes, let's see, Jay, reach out more to community partners, including churches, to get involved and to be trained.
Yeah. I mean, community partners includes churches and everyone. So, but the training piece, that's important, an important reference.
Okay.
Should we say, sort of to the point that we made earlier where we add EL into teachers, should we say to be trained on EL cultural competency, to be trained on best practices working with English learners, like just put EL in there?
I think to be trained appropriately for services rendered.
I like that.
Yeah, I think they're assuming since we're an EL subcommittee, that's what we're talking about, but I don't have a problem putting EL in there. So, okay. All right. We're down to the last two, y'all, and down to 2 minutes. We can do this. Appropriate, and for the outcomes, appropriate teacher/student ratio based on the performance level of the student as they move through tiers.
I would put that in weight.
Okay. Anybody?
Yes, that should be in weight.
Because of the ratio component? Okay. So
Yes.
we'll move that to weight.
And because those children in the lowest tiers need more than the children in the advanced tiers. So that's a weighted process.
All right. You guys are putting on a lot of weight now. All right. So
Trying to lose it, but
I got your joke, Rose. I got the joke.
Some of you got that joke, but that's all right. All right, last one. WIDA outcomes assessment. Outcomes.
Looks like the outcomes bucket to me.
Yep. So
yes, I think that's appropriate.
Okay, and since the other one has been shifted to wait, I guess we all think that the only outcome is prioritized correctly within that bucket. So,
But let me just, I know what, we have 30 seconds now, 1 minute.
we can go over.
Yeah.
like
WIDA is not the only outcome that is examined in the process, in the learning with children learning English. There's also the 10 Ready testing, and there's I don't know, there's also TVOS. So Dr. Barker, do you think TVOS plays into this at all? Or do you think 10 Ready should be referenced in this at all?
Well, I don't necessarily think 10 Ready. I think WIDA is more appropriate than 10 Ready, but I do think the growth piece is important.
Yes.
I do think that because that yeah, that would be important to put in there.
So will TVOS, I know it offers growth data on teacher performance, and does it also offer growth data on student learning?
Yes, it does.
Well, then I think we should add TVOS into this.
Anybody else? Do we agree with that?
Maybe we word it something like WIDA outcomes and other indicators of learning progress.
Progress of learning growth, yes, for progress, yes.
And other indicators of learning growth for progress. How about that?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Are you making that revision to the language?
Down the pipe.
Making that revision to item number H that starts out with IDA. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a new item. Okay, got it.
It's not a new item. It's just adding to the one that's already there, because that's talking about testing outcomes. And so we're just expanding it to include other measures of student, what did you say, Dr. Barker, of student growth and progress?
Yes.
Okay, we've done it. Great job, team. You guys did an awesome job. We will be, any other comments or questions about that?
Chairman Lopez, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead, Dr. Clark.
So how will our comments and contributions be considered? Are they being seriously considered and included, or how's that going to work?
Well, I hope so, because I've spent a lot of time doing this. So yes, I mean,
that's for sure.
I mean, they're going to go through all this, and obviously they've assigned you all because of your expertise, and they will be part of the thinking process. I think TDOE could probably explain better how that works, but they definitely have reassured me time and time again that, what we're doing is very important and is a part of their decision-making process. Does that mean everything we recommend happens? No, but it's part of it, and they hold it very, or you wouldn't be on this committee, or all of us. So is that right, Pam?
Yeah.
I think the legislature will take a hard look at what we've suggested and really take it heavier than anything else that might come towards us. That's just my opinion, but I could be wrong.
And the commissioners also stated that there will be various subcommittee members from all the committees. I don't know that every subcommittee would be represented, but she's also said that there will be members that will testify when it comes before the legislators. So it could be that someone from this subcommittee would be asked to speak.
Great.
And I might say too, before we go, next week, you all will, it's your final week, and you all will be asked to look at some policies. And since this is not something that this group is familiar with, a lot, even myself, I'm not completely familiar with policies. The steering committee and the commissioner had a meeting, and it was recorded last week. I put it in the chat where you can find, that's the TDOE website where you can find all of the funding information. And I encourage you to look at the subcommittee, steering committee recording to familiarize yourself with some of those policies prior to our meeting next week. And I'm also going to ask if we can have someone here, since this group is the majority of the folks, besides Dr. Barker, might not understand the educational policy. So I'm going to ask for some support with that. But you might familiarize yourself with that recording as well.
Yeah, the
Can you
more home.
also provide this link to us in an email, please?
Yes, I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, the next meeting is a shorter gap. We only have a week, so please try to do your homework as much as possible so we can, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussion on that also. So I appreciate everything you've all done and are doing for our community. So very appreciative and great job on this. And our next meeting will be January 25th at 12 p.m. Central Time. And I look forward to seeing you all. So stay safe and God bless you all. And I look forward to seeing you all next week.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you,
Thanks,
Michelle.
everyone. Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Hey, Michelle. Oh, Michelle got off before Ro got off, I think. I was going to ask Michelle if she would sort that spreadsheet. Bye, Dr. Clark. Thank you for participating.
Thank you so much, Penny, for your work. So we'll see you next week. All right. Bye.